Good afternoon, morning, or evening, whichever it is when you're watching this. I hope that you are having, will have, or have had a blessed day. I have another story today about another family member, and it is my granddaughter, Morgan Taylor Shearin. Because of her, I get to hear my two favorite words on the planet, Grandma Ann. She was a beautiful, beautiful baby. Now, when I was growing up, my mother had a euphemism that she would use when she'd talk about people. Excuse me. She'd always say that they were healthy. Healthy was a word that translated to fat. So, Morgan was a very healthy baby. Very healthy. As a matter of fact, sometimes I called her a little sumo baby as I watched Jennifer clean in between the little folds on her neck. And her wrist, you know the Mr. Potato Head dolls, when you screw them in and they have that separation? Her wrists kind of look like that. So she was very healthy. She was the firstborn girl to the other side of the family, so for them she was like a princess. I don't think that her feet actually touched the ground when she was with them. So I one time was over there and I put like a toy or something in front of her, just slightly out of her reach, and her mother said, "Is Grandma Ann trying to frustrate the baby?" I said, "No, Grandma Ann's just trying to get the baby to move her little tush." But she was incredibly beautiful. And actually, she still is. Now, some of the kids, I've told you, what their title might be. Ryan, Mr. Personality, Chloe, in her mind. And for Morgan, it would be the verse, "You have not because you ask not," followed by, "You might as well give it a shot." So this was exhibited in several ways as she was growing up. One time, she wanted to sleep with her parents. She was in a toddler bed at the time, and so she went in and asked about sleeping with them, and they said no. And then she pulled out the big gun, and she said, "Jesus told me to." Well, what are you going to say to that? So she slept. Now, if I remember correctly, Jennifer's not sure, but it seems to me she told her that the next day when she got on her toddler bed, it broke. So, who knows? Another time, I had taken the movie George of the Jungle over for them to see. It is one of my favorite movies. And so I was trying to share it with people. I took it over to Jennifer and her family. And the next Sunday, one of the first things Morgan says to me is, "We like George of the Jungle. Can we have it?" So, guess what? They got George of the Jungle. Another time, it was Easter, and I had Morgan come over, and we were going to dye Easter eggs and, just have a fun afternoon, which we did. And however, the next day at church, Grandma Shirley gave her an Easter basket. And I don't remember if she asked me about it or if she looked at me like, where's my basket? Grandma Shirley said, "I tried to tell her that, spending time with Grandma Ann dyeing eggs was better than a basket, but I don't think Morgan bought it." The next one was particularly funny to me. Back then, I liked to do a lot of sewing. So I'd gone to the fabric store. I found a pattern that I thought would be really cute for Morgan. And I bought I think 3 different fabrics. And then I saw a pattern I liked for myself. So Morgan and with her mother came over, and I was showing them the fabrics. So Morgan looked at them, not much comment, and then she saw mine. She says, I like the red one. I said, oh, I'm glad you do. I mean, that's for Grandma Ann. And she said it again, I like the red one. I said, I'm glad you do. Okay. So I made the dresses. I called Jennifer to tell her she could come pick them up. And Morgan came and she looked at the dresses, and then she looked at me as if to say, I thought I made myself clear. Um, what is it you didn't get? And she says, I want the red one. And so I did indeed have enough fabric left over to make her the red one. So she got what she wanted again. She is so wonderful because one of the things that she likes is just to be with you. And I love that about her. You don't have to be doing anything special. You don't have to be, bribing her. Well, do you want to come with me and I'll get you an ice cream? She just likes being with you. And that's so special. So one time she went with me and I was getting an oil change. So there's not much to do around a car dealership, but we walked around and looked at new cars and, did that kind of thing. And when it was time to go home, I took a slightly different way. So at one point, Morgan said, are we lost? I said, no, we are simply misdirected for a brief period of time. I said, can you say that? So we practiced misdirected for a brief period of time. I said, so when we get home and someone asks you, why did it take so long? You say, what? We were misdirected for a brief period of time. The last time she visited here, which was early in 2020, right before the pandemic, I believe, actually got started, we did go to eat. She came to church with me, and then after that, I went shoe shopping, and then we came back to the house, and we just talked. She's just, you just don't have to do great big stuff. She's just content to be with you, and that is really, really special. So, for my 70th birthday, I had said I wanted to go skydiving. So she said, I'll go with you. And she did. It was great. She spent the night at my house. We drove out to Boulder City. I was praying the whole way. I asked the person several times, who packed your parachute? Just want to be sure it's someone that liked them or they did it themselves. But we jumped, and it was amazing. The experience was great for both of us. She, however, has said that once was enough. For me, I think I could do it again. But just the fact that she was willing to do it, and we did it. I had also thought about going to the March on Washington, and she said, I'll go with you. Well, neither one of us went because of the pandemic, so it didn't seem wise to do at the time. And we do have another plan, but that has to wait till the weather gets warm, and I'll just have to let you try to figure out what that is. Good luck to you. One of the things that I've shared with Morgan are mission trips. We've been together on 2 mission trips to Kenya, and I was just so blessed that she and her mother came on the first one. It was me, her mother, and Morgan. Um, for a moment, we weren't quite sure whether we were going to go because that was when they had the uprising or whatever it was in Nairobi. But they assured us that we would have plenty of security, that we would be safe, and so we decided to go. And Morgan, again, she told her mother, if you're going, I'm going. So she did. So while we were there, we went to a program. It's kind of a welcoming program. And the children had put on a program for us. And afterwards, I noticed Morgan was crying. I said, why are you crying? And she said, I'm just thinking we would have missed this if we'd been too scared to come. And so, it really, really touched her. Morgan fully participated in everything that we did. I mean, and she was a favorite with the other members of the team. I believe she was the youngest. And she just fully participated. She was in there with the mothers. She loved the kids. Oh, she was so good with those children. She went down to the river, we say that loosely, to help carry water back on her back. And it just really impacted her. I think it's a wonderful thing for kids to go and see what it's like in other places. We have it really good in America. And to see what other people are doing without, and yet they are doing and surviving. And even though there may be difficulties. At one point, when it's time to come home, Morgan didn't really want to come home. She was talking about staying in Kenya and marrying Kenyan and having Kenyan babies. I asked her, why don't you want to go home? She says, they just talk about stupid stuff. I said, what do you mean? And she said, your cell phone dying is not a major problem. Walking 1.5 miles to get water and carrying it on your back 2 or 3 times a day, that's a problem. So she just didn't want to hear the things that, kids were going to be talking about. It gave her a totally different perspective. Now, I don't know if she actually said anything to the teacher. I didn't get the full thing, details on this particular story, but I know that she was upset. The teacher had a bottle of water on her desk, and it was maybe half full. So she asked the student, would you please go pour this out and get me some fresh water? Morgan's like, fresh water? Do you know what some people have to do to get water? So it really impacted her. The following year, we went again to Kenya, and this time it was with her mother and her sister, Chloe, and myself. And so Morgan was my roommate through the whole trip. Also, she, like I said, she had enjoyed herself and fully participated the year before. And so many of the posters that were on the walls had Morgan featured almost, with her beautiful face and working with the children. So that was a joy to see. But Morgan and I talked. We did a little tour of our safari tent. If you are thinking tent like camping, just get that out of your mind. It's a totally, totally different experience. And it was great. And then sometimes Jennifer and Chloe would come, and we would just have a good time laughing and talking and just being together. One of the things that Morgan said she really, really appreciated about the trip was getting to know Chloe, her sister, better in a different environment. And so I thought that was really special. And for me, just being with them both, and with their mother, of course, too, was just really kind of a dream come true for me. So I really enjoyed it, and they did too. Um, she's been on one other mission trip. This was with her mom, and they went to Haiti. So when I talked to her and asked her about the bottle of water thing, she says, "And when I was in Haiti, that fresh water would have been really good. I was so hot there, and they had to sleep on the roof, and it was a totally different experience, but she was up for it and ready to go and did her part. So now she is in college. She is a nanny to two kids, and actually she's been with them for several years, so I know that she has positively impacted their lives, and they are blessed to have had her and still do. She is loving, she is compassionate, she's caring, she's giving. And she also, she has a car now. Well, she had a car before, but it wasn't the greatest or whatever, and she let me drive that. This new one, no. I'm sorry, Grandma Ann, but I'll take you where you want to go. So she was willing to do that, but I was not getting behind the wheel. So I said, that's fine. I understand. And as long as she was willing to take me, I was good with that. So that's the kind of person she is. So not only is she all of those, but she is incredibly beautiful, and she is not a sumo baby. She's an incredibly beautiful young woman, and if you know Morgan, then you are very blessed as I am. I love you, Morgan. Happy birthday. Bye-bye.